Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased to be with you, and I will present the exhibition, the Belgian part of the exhibition about women. I'm not sure that you hear me. um,
Yes, we hear you, Stephanie.
Okay, so I repeat, good evening, everybody. I'm very pleased to be welcomed by you. And so I will present the Belgian part of the exhibition with the title, More Than 100 Years of Feminism. I hope that you can see the slides that I have prepared for you, or perhaps do you have perhaps you have the pages with you. So the Mundaneum is gathering an unpublished heritage about the history of women and the feminist struggles. The archives and collections around this topic is figuring out the special personality that incarnates Léonie Lafontaine. Thanks to her and her actions, activities, we can follow the very beginning of the feminism in Belgium, its inclusion step by step inside the Belgian and international feminist movement. There is a trouble with the sound? So perhaps you can show the second slide with the picture of Léonie Lafontaine, because I'm speaking about her, about the origin of the collections, of the Mundaneum about feminism. So thanks to her, so we follow the very beginning of the feminism in Belgium, its inclusion step by step inside the Belgian and international feminist movement, and into the pacifism also, because feminism and pacifism are very interactive. Her long-time implication since the end of the 19th century till the World War II gives to the Mundaneum a strong heritage on the women's action from the past. This was the first wave of the feminism in Belgium. So the second wave, was coming later during the 20th century in a different context, more focused on the women's body and the violence against women. We can have the next slide, please. Okay, so in this exhibition dedicated to the feminism, there are important moments, major figures that underline this ideology since more than 100 years. The slide that I selected for this part is showing, the lives of women, and so this is the life of two friends that begin at school, and then they follow the same moment, the marriage, and then with the last pictures you see that they are alone and still friends. That's the story about workers in the middle of the 20th century and the poor women. without education. So the collection, it's one of the most interesting posters about work and the workers, the feminist workers, the feminine worker in the 20th century. So the collections testifies with originality those activities and reforms about the women's right. At the start, the goal of the movement was to inform the women. Léonie Lafontaine represents this special moment where she's worried about the propaganda and the information to give to women to get a job and to increase the number of women occupied in a profession with salaries. Next slide, please. How did appear the feminist movement in Belgium? It appeared with the Poplin Affair. The Poplin Affair is the clique of the consciousness for the women's situation in 1887. This person, so Marie Poplin, was manager of a school in Mons. Then she was joining Brussels to follow a new cursus, a new education, a new teach program in law. Women in the Belgian university, women were quite rare. To go there, they have followed before a preparation in a school created by Isabelle Gattit-Gamon. And when you will discover the exhibition, the virtual exhibition, you will see the personality Isabelle Gattit-Gamon. And so with the special school that she has created. With her certificate, here I'm still talking about Marie Poplin and the affair. With her certificate and diploma in law, Marie Poplin was willing to register to the bar and to become a lawyer. Logical. The decision was not in favor of this application, and this woman was rejected of the bar. This is why a progressist community where we found Léonie Lafontaine and also Henri Lafontaine, but also the rector of the university, Hector Denis, had reacted. They created in 1892 the Belgian League of Women's Right to get more opportunities, job and rights, including the right to vote. How was it possible to increase the number of women to vote wherever in Croatia or in Belgium? Are there some similarities or differences between the protests and the protest movement of women yesterday? What types of obligations are on the side of women? How was it possible to appear in the political context and in economically with with payment? We can change of slide. So here you have the presentation, the pictures of Isabelle Bloom. She was a communist and she was elected in the 30s, and she was coming from the neighborhood of Mons. So in the exhibition, the specialized chapters, we have 7 chapters, reflect the struggles and battles for the women to get a place in the enterprise, for example, or in the chamber or in the Senate when it was possible. The vote, the work, the protection and the health are domains where women are gathered with men in associations or different types and dimensions in a small group or all around the world. It depends of the size. Next slide, please. So only the last chapter, the very last chapter of this presentation is more related to the recent years of the 70s and 80s with the women's right to choose method of contraception, the right to have an abortion, and the general violence against women. Those questions, debated by the second wave of Belgian feminism, are still pertinent and present in the context of today. Here, the picture that I have selected is it's quite original because it's not coming from the 70s or the 80s, the 80s, sorry, in Belgium, but it's a very stereotype figure of a woman, and she has to be careful with her diet, and so this is quite important to see and to underline the type of representation that women have of herself. And so this is the sort of the obligation to be smart, young, and beautiful. And so this is the poster of a press of a periodical from United States, and this periodical, this is the Saturday Evening Post, and and the magazine published on the Saturday for all the public. And that's very interesting because on the first chapter, you will see all the stereotypes that we have in our collection, and perhaps it could be interesting to see what type of stereotypes are still alive in our society. Of course, in Croatia or in Belgium or in the United States. So what kind of representation we have of women, what kind of obligation have the women today and in the past. Next slide, please. And so I was talking about the last chapter and the women's right to choose, the methods of contraceptions, the right to have an abortion, and the general violence against women. Here, this is the question about the freedom of maternity. What's the question about the body of women? Is it an important question in Croatia too? In Belgium, we discuss more freely about it in the press, in the street, since 50 years. The promotion of contraception was open in the 70s. The right for abortion was voted in 1990. When was it possible to be informed in matter of sexuality and the contraception included? Everywhere, or in Croatia too? How is it regulated by law? And another question, perhaps not about body, but at home, how were the tasks, the general tasks shared between men and women? Next slide, please. So the visible and invisible resistance are staying for women in their career and their wellness. How can we talk about this today? What are the differences between intentions and realities? What about the difference between equality of charge? What are the difference and between intentions and realities in the family and at work? How can we keep the memories of women and their action, even if they are heroes or not heroes? In Belgium, like elsewhere, the COVID crisis has forced a return to home for everybody. What was the today life for everybody, of course? What was the daily life, and what will be the daily life, because we will go to a new crisis now. I don't know if you hear me. So what about the woman, of course, and what about the single parent with children? Here you have a poster that I have selected for this exhibition about the number of women and men all around the world, and it reminds us that we have the same number of women and women of men and women all around the world. And so this poster was created for a huge campaign from the French community in Belgium to present and um, to give an importance to women. So in this exhibition, the men are less visible, even if they have sustained women, not everybody, of course, and were partners in campaign, but not all of them. Is it the right time now to go women and men hands in hands for a new integration of difficulties of each of them without a domination of one of them? Educate is with no doubt one of the ways to evolve in this general issue. This is inefficient to divide women and men. It requires efforts and dialogue between people to get the opportunity to change the society in the following years. And I hope to show other pictures and other story about men and women and about equality in the future. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
The problem was that in the same room we have two computers, you know, and
Yeah.
idea was well, the idea was not so good. What eventually finished.
It's
Well,
another context.
yeah. The problem is some technical issues we have with internet and so forth. So one other thing I would like to do. I would like to share the screen with the website.
Yeah?
Because there are actually we have these materials, you know, so that's what I think it's interesting. So now
Okay.
I think it's broadcasted what we have here is a number of the stories you told. You just give to us just the samples, but here, for example, we have a complete material that is available over the web, and also will be available in our premises here on our big screen. So the exhibition will be open from tomorrow forward, so everybody can come and see all these pictures in high resolution and enjoy them as you present it. The audience understand that what we have here, what you presented is just very small example of what was actually.
Yeah.
So in general, there are 7 chapters.
Yes.
Prepared, actually you prepared, and each of them is actually covering as you explained. So I'm really encouraging everybody to come and to look to those slides or through the website or directly in our premises here. Well, if there are any questions from the audience, maybe we can go now. No, it seems that we don't have questions. Okay, good. For the moment, thank you. Then, Stephanie, we will be in touch for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for your effort and to.
Thank you for your efforts too. Thank you for the whole team.
To give us all these materials, and I hope that in the next weeks, the people from Drenova and from Rijeka will have the opportunity to enjoy them. Well, we shall now continue with our program. Now we have just very short presentation about these web pages, and then we will have a final movie. This is interviews with our fellow citizens. So I would say that maybe we can go now just to explain a little bit the website. Yeah. So maybe I will explain as I'm showing you maybe Stephanie, you can see what also we did
Yeah.
in the website. So there's a number of the articles. We collected some of the statistics. Some of them were presented by Madam Rector in the beginning, but what we try to do with this exhibition is also to explain different terms that people understand what we are talking about. And also we are in the next in a few articles we are presenting different statistics about the position of the woman in the modern society, the total number, and then this question of the gender equality and other interesting questions. So this is all part of this quite extensive materials we collected, and hopefully will be interesting. There are some interesting articles regarding the fearless girl and all the attitude and the change which is happening now in United States. Basically, also Madam Rector told us on the end of some dystopian scenarios, but when you look what is now currently happening in US and what's going on, maybe these scenarios are not so outrageous, or maybe they can become reality if they're not there. You can see that they have the conservatives in their I would say then in the main Supreme Court of the United States and so forth, and that can maybe shape or bring or push them towards more conservative approach in the future. What is maybe the most important part of the exhibition, of the creation side of the exhibition, is we made a number of the interviews, and that's the movie we will just start in a few moments. A number of the interviews with our fellow citizens, and we collected what was their opinion about the position of the woman. But what is interesting here, Rijeka is maybe one of the first Croatian cities that changed the stop signs or the traffic signs. As you can see here, you don't have a man, but you have a woman here represented. So it is a very interesting idea. Unfortunately, is Rijeka very similar to the other Croatian cities? Here we depicted the only streets in the city of Rijeka which have a woman's name. It's a very small percentage. It's a 26 streets from 100 and 647. Yeah, so we have 647 streets or roads, and we have just these 26 streets. This is really interesting, but this is also similar situation in the rest of the Croatia. And now we will show the movie in a few moments. We also collected a lot of other interviews and opinions, and all that are presented on the website. And maybe for the end, what I found, it's interesting. It's a first feminist movie from 1922. It's a quite rare film. I found it on the internet. It's a Creative Commons. It's free to look. So maybe it's interesting because it's made in France. So you will. We didn't have a time to translate it, but it will be interesting for you to watch this movie if you don't know for it. It's called, that is the first feminist movie from 1922. Well, so the end or some kind of the conclusion for the Croatian part of the exhibition is what is actually the feminism and women issue. This is a story that is really ongoing and developing. We collected some interesting artifacts here. For example, this inequality is not just seen in, as you see in the road names or in woman position in the business. But for example, if you look at the video game protagonists by gender, basically there are very slow or there are very low number of woman characters in video games. So you can see this male dominance is really in many aspects of our current world. But that's the point, to fight for equality, to stop any kind of dystopian scenarios. And I think if we work together, all together, then we can make a change or make a difference. So for the last part, now we will show the short movie documentary we created with the statements from our fellow citizens. Unfortunately, Stephanie, we didn't have time to subtitle it, so it's in Croatian. But I hope we will do this in the next week, so the material will be complete. With that, I am finishing. The last thing will be I will now launch this movie. Well, that's around 20 minutes, so let's start with it.